Welcome back everyone. Let's go and do a comparison between the Samsung Galaxy S22 Plus and the Samsung Galaxy S20 Plus and see which specific phone you should go and pick up. Now I will tell you, if you own the S20 Plus, I probably want to go to the S22 Plus. There's a lot of similarities and there's still some advantages of something like the Galaxy S20 Plus right now. Now from the front, there's a lot of similarity, but if you want to pick up both of these phones, links will be down in the descriptions. You can get them from there and help support the channel at the same time. On the front, the Samsung Galaxy S20 Plus has a beautiful 6.7-inch dynamic AMOLED display. It's 120 Hz and it's a pretty good panel. I think it's still extremely beautiful, 1440p. And even though this phone is approaching, actually it's over 2 years old as of this point, the panel still looks beautiful and it does rival the S22 Plus in a lot of ways. I mean, it's a curved panel, so I love that. And there's very little bezel around it. Like, it still holds up extremely well. On the Galaxy S22 Plus, you have a little bit of a smaller 6.6-inch dynamic AMOLED display. And this panel also has 120 Hz. It's also beautiful. It is 1080p though, which isn't a really big downgrade, but it is something where, we are getting a low resolution panel on a 2-year-old newer phone, where a 2-year-old phone actually had a higher resolution panel. Makes no sense to me at all, but there are some advantages for a low resolution display. But you do have a hole punch display on both of them, which is great. But I'll definitely say the S20 Plus may be the winner here. Now on the bottom, they have USB Type-C ports, which is great. I love having that type of capability. The S20 Plus though does have a micro SD card slot, which is amazing. Like I mentioned before, I love having that type of capability, and having the ability of just expanding that storage whenever we want to is awesome. And I love that more than anything for sure. Now on the back, we have a standard glass back on the S20 Plus. Nothing crazy, it is that standard glass back, we're all pretty much used to it. On the S22 Plus, on the other hand, we do have a frosted glass back. So this time around, it definitely looks a lot better. It feels much more premium than pretty much all the other Samsung phones. Probably not the S21 Plus, it's built the same way, but I love that capability. And without a doubt, having that premiumness with the S22 Plus is a very awesome thing. And I, for one, I'm a humongous fan of having a phone that feels extremely premium. The back of the S22 Plus is amazing looking. The back on the S20 Plus, on the other hand, really doesn't look too great if I'm being completely honest. Now they both have kind of like a triple camera setup. The S20 Plus kind of has a quadruple camera setup, which looks really great, which we'll go ahead and hit on right now. The S20 Plus had a 12 megapixel wide angle lens, 64 megapixel telephoto lens, 12 megapixel ultra wide sensor, then a 0.3 megapixel depth lens, where the Galaxy S22 Plus, on the other hand, has a 50 megapixel wide-angle lens, 10 megapixel telephoto lens, then a 12 megapixel ultra-wide sensor. Now another big thing is on the front. They both have 10 megapixel sensors, and both can do 4K at 60 on the front as well. Almost the exact same cameras for sure. I mean, there's not really too much of a difference here in terms of the front cameras. The back, there's also a lot of similarity. Both cameras can do 8K capability on the back at the exact same frames per second. They both can do 4K at 60 as well. So you're really not getting too many differences here, and that's one thing that I've seen time and time again when people compare an older phone to a newer one. There's always some massive differences with the camera, but it's really weird how we had a depth camera from 2 years ago that's not on the newer ones. Even though it doesn't do anything really for the most part, it's still kind of a nice thing to have. And we really haven't seen any crazy improvements, I would say, in the resolutions. They're still the same thing. The Galaxy S20 Plus had a very good camera when it first came out. It was one of the first Samsung phones to bring 8K capability, which is awesome. The camera is amazing. The features are still great. And a majority of the features that you're getting on the Galaxy S22 Plus's camera is still there on the S20 Plus. So if there's one area where I probably wouldn't care about upgrading from one phone to the other, this is it. The cameras are so identical on both. With the Galaxy S22 Plus, it's definitely a better camera. You're getting, probably brighter photos and, good looking photos. I mean, they're great. The biggest thing that I can think of that Samsung did was that they did kind of team up with some social media applications, Snapchat, TikTok, and Instagram, to improve the quality and bring a lot of those camera features from their stock camera app to this camera. But I haven't really noticed that crazy many differences in those applications. I was expecting bigger differences. I didn't really see it. So I guess we'll see what happens in the future. But I would definitely say when it comes down to the camera quality, both are amazing. The S22 Plus is a very good camera. The S20 Plus is probably still the same thing. So in terms of the camera setup, that pretty much covers it up there. Now in terms of the actual software longevity, this is another pretty big difference for sure. The S20 Plus, it's kind of at a really interesting point where Samsung did increase the software longevity, which is great, but the S22 Plus is miles ahead of the Galaxy S20 Plus. And this is the number one area where I would probably recommend going through and upgrading this phone at some point. You don't have to go and upgrade today, but do keep in mind that, the Samsung Galaxy S20 Plus is probably getting like one more version of Android full OS updates, and then probably that's it, who knows? With the S22 Plus, Samsung is actually increasing that to 4 years of full OS updates and 5 years of security updates. So this phone realistically is probably going to last up until like 2027. That is crazy to think. This is one of the longest lasting Android phones in the market right now. And it's from a Samsung, which you would never think. Google obviously has increased their Pixel lineup as well. And this is the number one area. If you were planning on upgrading your Samsung Galaxy S22 or, S21 or S20, this is the phone I would recommend buying, mostly because of the software longevity. And the fact that this is going to be ported over to pretty much all the other Samsung phones, I'm super happy about that. And I cannot wait for the next versions of these Android phones. So in terms of the software, that pretty much covers it up there. Now in terms of the performance side of things, the Samsung Galaxy S20 Plus had that Qualcomm Snapdragon 865 chipset inside of it. And this is crazy, 8GB of RAM on really the only model that was available. But on the Galaxy S22 Plus 2 years later, we have a Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 chipset inside of it, and we still only have 8GB of RAM on these base models. Now, I don't think it's a crazy big deal, but I do find it weird that Samsung has also decreased the RAM option for the top tier model on the S22 Ultra this year, which was honestly very weird. So personally, I think the Galaxy S20 Plus's, performance is still very, very good. I've always found that, phone to do a really good job at really everything I threw at it, and I didn't really have too many complaints about that specific performance. I think it was very fast. Realistically, like I mentioned, anything I've ever done with that camera, it handled everything perfectly fine. I think with something like the Samsung Galaxy S22 Plus though, it's definitely a faster phone, but there have been some rumors and reports of Samsung kind of slowing down some of these phones now, so that's another thing we have to kind of keep in mind. But I do think with the S22 Plus, very good phone, tons of capability, and I'm a humongous fan of that phone. I definitely don't think either of these phones are perfect, and I definitely do think with something like the Galaxy S20 Plus, it's still a very, very good performing phone. You're in a really good situation for that type of phone to have, tremendous performance. I just so happen to think that something like the Galaxy S22 Plus is a very good performing phone too. Ever since these phones got, 120 Hz, I haven't really noticed too many big differences if I'm being completely honest. So in terms of performance, great performing phones. The S22 Plus is probably the faster one, but the S20 Plus is still a very, very fast performing phone as well. Now ending it off with the battery size and the battery life, they actually have the same exact battery size, 4500 mAh. They both have wireless charging and reverse wireless charging, so there's not much to say there. Maybe the S22 is the better one in some areas, but because they have the same battery size, there's really not much we can really kind of compare here. I'd probably say they're going to end off around the same time. So to be completely honest, both of these phones are very, very interesting. On one hand, with the Galaxy S20 Plus, it's a much cheaper phone now in the used market. You can get it pretty much everywhere. It's not really sold out anywhere. I don't even think the S22 Plus is sold out anywhere, but the S20 Plus is still a very, very good phone. You have a ton of capability, it's very powerful, and there's not really too much to complain about there. With the Samsung Galaxy S22 Plus, this is a really good upgrade in the software department. Really everywhere else you're getting kind of the same phone. Yeah, it's probably faster. Yeah, the cameras are better, but the S22 Plus, you're getting a longer lasting phone, which is something I love seeing. Having a phone that just lasts that long is beautiful. And if it was a perfect world, I would say go for the S22 Plus. It's the best one. If you have all the money in the world, go for the S22 Plus. But at that point, I would recommend going to the S22 Ultra, to be honest. The Galaxy S20 Plus though, very, very good phone still. If you want to pick up a phone and keep it for another 2 years, that's a perfect phone. But the S22 Plus may be the better way to go for some people if you just want to spend the money and move on with your life. So that's pretty much how I would kind of sum it up. Like I mentioned before, links are down in the description if you want to pick them up. If you guys have any other questions or anything, let me know in the comment section as well. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.